Manny Pacquiao's advisor, Sean Gibbons, has suggested that he has had preliminary talks with Eddie Hearn about a matchup between Pacquiao and Conor Benn. However, he also said that he would refrain from partaking in concrete discussions with Benn's people until there is some closure with Benn's positive test. And Gibbons apparently has taken the WBC verdict as a positive development. And then he took to Twitter last Thursday to say, back in business. So again, he's basically saying that they're happy with the ruling by the WBC to proceed with the Pacquiao fight. And Gibbons then suggested in a tweet that he is awaiting a response from Eddie Hearn. He tweeted, waiting on Eddie Hearn, Senator, as in Senator Manny Pacquiao, ready to rumble. And Conor Benn responded with, biggest fight of the year, let's go. Now, one of the reasons that this fight and this news isn't going down well with boxing fans, particularly in Britain, is because they feel as though Conor Benn is being rewarded for what some people might construe as bad behavior. Because think about it. He was supposed to be fighting Chris Eubank Jr. He failed 2 tests, and ultimately that fight fell through. And so people are thinking, in order for any justice to be done, if this guy doesn't submit his evidence to UKAD and the British board and allow them to make a judgment, then he's escaping any punishment. And worse still, he's going from because people are hoping that if he doesn't submit the evidence to UKAD and the British board, he should have to be off in the wilderness somewhere, not getting big fights, scratching around, right? But to then go into the Manny Pacquiao fight, which arguably is a bigger fight than the Chris Eubank Jr. fight was or would have been, that doesn't sit well with a lot of the British public. They feel like he's being rewarded for, if not bad behavior, then, well, no, you can call it bad behavior. Avoiding an investigation by the British board and UKAD could certainly be described as such by many people. So, yeah, this Pacquiao thing, and look, if Conor Benn was to go in there against Manny Pacquiao and beat Pacquiao, I don't think that would get the public to forget about what had happened with regards to the failed PED test. I don't think that'd work. I think the only way Conor Benn can redeem himself in the ring, and again, this is with him not submitting evidence and submitting himself to scrutiny by the British board and UKAD, the only other way than that to redeem himself in the eyes of the public would be to go in there against an Errol Spence, a Terence Crawford, a Virgil Ortiz, a Jerome Ennis, and actually beat them. If he was able to do that, yeah, there would still be some grumblings here and there. But if he went to America and beat any one of those 4 guys, a lot of people would start, turning a blind eye and developing amnesia about the PED. I'm telling you, they would. That's just the way human beings are. Some people wouldn't, but a lot of people would. I remember in the 1980s and 1990s when Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister in the UK. And during her time as Prime Minister, she spoke about a tactic that is used in politics, a tactic that she used, whereby when you are embroiled in some type of scandal, some type of controversy, the best form of action is just to carry on regardless, to just keep moving forward and act as though you are bulletproof, act as though you're impervious to all the criticism and the scandal and all this kind of thing. The idea is that new situations will emerge to distract the public from that old scandal, and they'll soon forget. And so she swore by just going that route from a PR perspective. And with Conor Benn, as I say, if something huge happened in his career, like he was to beat one of the fighters I mentioned, I think it would be the same thing for most fans. They would just kind of be like, oh, well, shrug their shoulders and move on. Because, even though there was resolution with regards to Canelo Alvarez and his PED situation with Dylan White, for example, there was a resolution there, although the details are very sketchy. We understand that UKAD and the British board made a judgment, but we don't understand what the judgment was based on, why Dillian Whyte failed in the first place, why the substance was in his system. We never got answers to any of that. But because Dillian Whyte was involved in big fights afterwards, people quickly forgot. You know what I mean? And that really is, well, that's an example of the power of not saying too much about the situation, the power of silence, right? Dillian Whyte didn't talk too much about that situation. Dillian Whyte actually played it very well from a PR perspective. And I'm not saying that fighters should get away with these things, that fighters should escape scrutiny. Not at all. But I'm just talking from a PR perspective. That's the way to do it. Conor Benn, the perception people have, a lot of the public, is that this guy is a diva. This guy is entitled. That's the way he's been behaving. And people don't like that at the best of times, because this is a guy who grew up in privilege. Even though he talks with a working class accent, he didn't grow up in a working class home, did he? Conor Benn. And I've got absolutely nothing against that. I'm somebody who believes in making a lot of money so that your kids won't have to struggle the way that you did. I absolutely believe in that. I'm not one of these people who, and there are some rich people out there, right, that seem to have this attitude whereby they don't believe in inherited wealth. I can't understand that myself. You know, they must have had a very enjoyable time coming up from the bottom to the top, right? If they don't believe in inherited wealth and they want to inflict the kind of hardship that they had to endure on their kids, it can't have been that hard for them. Yeah, they might have come from working class backgrounds, some of these people, but their journey must have been relatively smooth to the top, or enjoyable at least. Because for most people who try very hard and work their backsides off all their lives, they never achieve success to the extent that they become millionaires and so on. Therefore, if they did, they wouldn't want their kids to have to go through that same struggle. That's how I feel. So I don't begrudge Conor Benn or Eddie Hearn or any of these people that grow up with a rich parent or whatever. Good for them. And you should take absolute full advantage of having a rich parent and what have you, because that right there is a privilege. But again, this is one of the reasons that a lot of people don't like the way Conor Benn is behaving. They see him as a brat, as somebody who's very spoiled. And they think that that bratish, spoiled, entitled attitude is really at the forefront with regards to the way he is conducting himself with this PED thing. So anyway, the Manny Pacquiao fight. Will it happen? And if it does happen, what do you think is going to take place? What do you think the result will be? And if Conor Benn were to win, do you think that will go any way with regards to redemption, with him managing to distract the public from what he'd done previously or hadn't done previously, the whole PED scandal? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Oh yeah, we out here. We out here, bro. Don't get swept off your feet.